I devoted myself to caring for my mother for 5 years, but
Tears welled up in my husband David's eyes, and sobs could be heard from the audience. He never did anything, yet he's acting like the perfect son. I was the only one who knew the truth. David, you're about to get what you deserve. I started playing the recording that exposed David's true nature. My name is Michelle. I've been married to my husband, David, for 7 years now. Currently, we live with David and his bedridden mother, Sarah. 5 years ago, Sarah became bedridden due to illness. David's father passed away before I married him, so there's no one else to take care of Sarah. Around the same time, David's job wasn't going well, and we were struggling to make ends meet. So, David asked if we could move in with Sarah, and she agreed. However, I didn't want to just rely on her, so I decided to work part-time while taking care of Sarah. On the other hand, Sarah seems to feel guilty about being cared for.
Michelle, that's enough. Please, just leave me alone.
Sarah tells me this with a troubled smile, and I always encourage her strongly. What are you talking about? You've done so much for me, Sarah.
But you're so busy with work and housework and taking care of me on top of that. I don't want to be a burden on you anymore.
It's not a burden at all. I'm doing it because I want to be with you, Sarah.
But you have your own happiness to think about.
I'm happy just being able to talk to you like this every day, Sarah. So please, don't worry about it.
Thank you.
Sarah murmurs with tears in her eyes. I know there's only so much I can do. Even so, Sarah always expresses her gratitude like this. From the beginning of my marriage, Sarah has been so kind to me, so taking care of her doesn't feel like a burden at all. In fact, it feels like my mission. Despite these days of caregiving, I had one complaint about my current life. That complaint was my husband, David. He is the typical chauvinistic type, believing that housework is solely a woman's responsibility. It wasn't so bad when we first got married, but since we moved in with his mother, he has become increasingly domineering. Even though he doesn't contribute much to the household expenses, his attitude is as lofty as Everest. For example, if I don't greet him at the door when he comes home, he starts yelling,
hey, Michelle, your husband is home. Why aren't you here to greet me? Come and get my stuff.
"Welcome home." I frown and scold him. David, I've told you many times, I'm not your servant. You can take care of some things yourself.
What? Who do you think allows you to live here?
Yes, I know it's thanks to you, but I also do my part.
Do your part? All you do is half clean the house and chat with my mom.
I work part-time too, and yet you talk to me like this.
Shut up. Your earnings are nothing. You can't live without me, so don't act all high and mighty.
You don't even contribute properly to the household expenses. The only reason we can live here is because of Sarah. At first, I used to talk back, but David began to threaten me with divorce every time.
If you keep acting up, I'll divorce you.
Please, don't shout so loud. Sarah is in the other room.
Shut up. It's your fault for being so cheeky. Do you get it? You're the one who'll be in trouble if we get divorced. Understand?
Just lower your voice a bit, and don't throw around the word divorce so easily.
Right? If we get divorced, you'll have nowhere to go. No company would hire someone as useless as you as a full-time employee.
That's not fair.
Just shut up and do as I say, you moron. You're so slow.
Honestly, I wanted to divorce David so badly. But thinking about Sarah, I just couldn't go through with it.
If you ever have any trouble, feel free to talk to me. Michelle, you're like a daughter to me.
Sarah always treated me kindly, like I was her own daughter. Because of that, I wanted to take care of her properly until the end. She had done so much for me, and I wanted to repay her kindness. That's why I endured these painful days with David in this house. I can't leave Sarah's care to a man like him. One day, while I was preparing dinner, I heard the usual shouting from the front door.
Hey, Michelle, I'm home. Get out here and greet me.
I'm cooking with oil right now, so I can't step away. It's too dangerous.
What? Are you kidding me? What kind of wife doesn't prioritize her husband?
Impatient, David stomped into the living room.
Hey, what are you thinking? I told you to greet me when I come home. Why don't you get it?
Can't you see? I'm frying something right now.
I don't care. You should time it so that you're done when I get home. You're useless.
Even if you say that, you never tell me what time you'll be back.
I've told you not to talk back. A useless, cheeky wife is nothing but trash.
Sarah, who had been listening, appeared and spoke in a harsh tone.
David, you can't talk like that.
What? Mom, you're still alive?
Michelle is working hard every day for us, taking care of this house.
That's just what a wife is supposed to do, right? She's useless, barely earns anything, does a half-assed job at home. Basically trash.
Enough.
Normally quiet, Sarah raised her voice.
You can say whatever you want about me, but stop speaking ill of Michelle.
Annoying. What? Are you on her side too, Mom? Are you two conspiring against me?
For once, Sarah continued speaking instead of staying silent.
David, I have one request.
What is it?
Put me in a care facility. I don't want to burden Michelle any longer.
What? A facility? Where are we going to get the money for that?
There's still Dad's inheritance and my savings. It doesn't have to be an expensive place.
Sarah's unexpected statement left me speechless. Sarah, have you been thinking about this? You're doing this for me? Moved by Sarah's kindness, tears welled up in my eyes. But David was completely unmoved. David made a disgusted face at Sarah's request.
Are you kidding me? There's no way I'm putting you in a facility. That's a waste of money.
Don't say that. If I go to a facility, it would make things easier for everyone at home.
If I put you in a facility, people in the neighborhood and at work will call me an ungrateful son.
Don't worry about what people think. I don't want to burden you anymore.
Then just shut up and do what I say. Old hag, we're already taking care of you. Isn't that enough?
David, you don't do anything to help.
What? I'm letting you live here, and I'm making Michelle do all the work. After everything I've done for you, you're still ungrateful.
I couldn't stand David's words any longer and raised my voice. What are you talking about? Who's the ungrateful one here? This house was originally Sarah's.
What? Are you talking back again?
But it's true. 5 years ago, when you got fired and we were struggling, Sarah welcomed us into her home. How can you say such things?
Oh my God, you're all so annoying.
And I'm not doing this reluctantly. I'm taking care of Sarah because I want to. Stop saying such selfish things.
You're such a hassle.
Despite my desperate plea, David stormed out of the room.
I'm sorry.
In the awkward atmosphere, Sarah kept repeating through her tears. It's not your fault, Sarah. It's David who's in the wrong. I felt frustrated daily by a reality I couldn't change. A few days later, while I was cleaning the house, A man claiming to be an acquaintance of Sarah's came to visit. Sarah was surprised but beamed with a big smile.
Oh, is that you, Steve? You came to see me.
Of course, when a senior like Sarah asks me to visit, I can't say no, can I?
I sure put you through the ringer when we were younger, didn't I?
I'm grateful for it. So, what's up today?
Oh, right. Actually,
Sarah looked at me and said,
sorry, but could you give us a moment?
"Sure." Thinking they had a lot to catch up on, I agreed readily and went out to buy some snacks. It seemed that Steve was a junior colleague of Sarah's from her working days. It had been a long time since I'd seen Sarah so happy. When I came back at the right time, Steve was just about to leave. "Oh, well, I'll make some coffee now."
No, it's fine. We finished our conversation.
But
Thank you for always taking care of Sarah. She's my mentor, and it's a relief to know someone like you is here for her.
he greeted me and left. After that, Steve visited Sarah regularly, and each time they had lively conversations. It was a few months later when Sarah's condition worsened and she had to be hospitalized urgently. I quickly called David from the hospital, and he said something that made me doubt my ears.
Mom's in serious condition? So what? You go stay with her.
What? The doctor said they don't know when it could happen. Please, I'm asking you.
Not possible. Besides, I'm leaving for a business trip today.
What? At a time like this? Talk to your company and cancel it somehow.
Are you stupid? There's no way I can do that. Handle it yourself and don't call me until I contact you.
With that, David hung up. Not knowing what to do, I sank down in front of Sarah's hospital room. A business trip when Sarah is in this condition? This is too much. How am I supposed to tell Sarah? As I wallowed in despair, Steve appeared.
Hey, isn't that Michelle? What's going on?
"Hi, Steve."
Something seems to have happened. Let's go to Sarah's room for now.
"Okay." When we reached the room with Steve, Sarah looked at us and spoke with difficulty.
Steve, since you're here, does that mean you did what I asked?
Yeah, but are you really sure about this?
Of course. I need to settle things before I go.
Got it.
Then Sarah weakly grasped my hand.
Michelle, there's something you absolutely need to know.
"What is it?"
David, he's been withdrawing money from my account and spending it on his mistress.
"An affair? Him?" Given how he treated people like housemaids, I had somewhat expected this from the start. But I was shocked to learn he had even been taking Sarah's savings without permission.
I had Steve investigate everything about this situation.
I see. That's why Sarah called Steve to the house that time.
Steve, please record what I'm about to say. This will be my final will.
Got it, Sarah.
Steve calmly took out a voice recorder. Once everything was recorded, Steve placed it in my hand.
What you do with this recording is up to you, Michelle.
Up to me. Yes, I was the only one who could avenge Sarah. I grasped Sarah's weak hand firmly. The next day, Sarah passed away. She entrusted me with her final revenge. On the day of the funeral 2 days later, a large number of people gathered, as Sarah had always been well-liked. Seeing this, David made an inappropriate comment.
Wow, I didn't expect so many people to show up. This is my time to shine as the chief mourner.
"What are you talking about? You didn't even stay with her in her final moments." Ignoring my reproach, David continued nonchalantly.
I'm going to give a moving speech that'll make everyone here cry. Even my bosses from work are here. They'll be so impressed by my filial piety. It'll boost my standing. Maybe even a promotion. Just kidding.
How can you act like this right after Sarah's death?
Think about it. With mom gone, I'll inherit dad's fortune too. This is seriously lucky.
Shaking with anger, I watched as David, still in high spirits, went to give his speech as the chief mourner. After the formal greetings, David began talking about taking care of Sarah. With tears in his eyes, he said,
I devoted myself to caring for my mother for 5 years, but despite my efforts, she has passed away. However, I have no regrets. I am proud that I was able to support her until the end.
Sobs could be heard from the audience as David continued his eulogy. Encouraged by the reaction, David kept talking, adding more drama to his speech. He made it seem as if he had been a dutiful son all along. The attendees, unaware of the truth, listened to him with tear-filled eyes, believing every word.
Thank you for being here today.
As David finished his closing remarks, I stood up. With the room buzzing with curiosity, I walked up to David and took out the voice recorder.
What are you doing?
Ignoring his attempts to stop me, I raised my voice to address the attendees. Everyone, please listen to this recording. I pressed the play button and Sarah's voice filled the room. It was the recording from the hospital.
Thank you all for coming today. There is something I need you all to hear, so I left this message.
In the face of this unexpected turn of events, David and the attendees were left speechless.
You've just heard David's speech. He probably talked about how dutiful he was to his mother.
This was a typical greeting from Sarah, who knew David's vain nature well. As his mother, she had a good understanding of what he might say and do. I turned up the volume on the voice recorder so everyone could hear clearly.
But the truth is, David never did anything to take care of me. He constantly hurled insults at me and Michelle. I also have recordings of him verbally abusing us.
What the hell is this? Stop it.
David shouted, his face turning red, but I ignored him and continued playing the recording.
Moreover, David secretly withdrew money from my account and spent it on another woman, not Michelle. When I sensed something was wrong, I had an old friend investigate, and that's how I discovered the truth.
The attendees' faces turned angry, while David's grew increasingly pale. Sarah's final blow from beyond the grave came next.
I have one last request for everyone. Please do not give any of my inheritance to David. Use any means necessary, donate it, destroy it, anything. I cannot forgive David. I need your help, please.
With those words, the recording ended. David panicked and started yelling, but no one came to his aid. On the contrary, all the attendees were giving him icy glares. Looking down at David, I coldly said, "Do you get it now? This is the result of everything you've done. Neglecting Sarah's care, having an affair, this is what it leads to. Do you understand that now?"
Wait, Michelle, I was wrong. So please.
You're not seriously asking for help, are you?
What?
Let me be clear, I will never forgive you. You tormented Sarah and constantly belittled others. No one will help you. You deserve to rot in hell. Under the cold stares of the attendees, David turned pale and collapsed to the ground. After that, I divorced David. With Sarah gone, there was no reason for me to stay with him. Later, he was fired from his job. Since his boss attended the funeral, this was an expected outcome. I sued David and his mistress for alimony. His mistress was furious about it and quickly dumped him. A few months later, David found a new job through Steve's introduction. But that was part of Sarah's plan. David now worked for one of Steve's acquaintances, and his salary was garnished to pay my alimony. Thanks to this, my alimony payments were never delayed and were deposited every month without fail. As for me, I started living on my own with the money Sarah left me. Steve also worried about me and introduced me to a full-time job. This, too, was part of Sarah's final wishes. Sarah took care of everything for me. Standing in front of her grave, I thank Sarah in my heart. Thank you so much, Sarah. I vow to cherish this life that I had gained thanks to Sarah.